The first section I'm going to be talking about is exorbitant profit, which in other terms is unreasonably high profits. While a profit is needed to sustain and grow a company, it should not be the only motivating factor behind their actions. Key factors that they need to take into consideration is just as important as making profits is customer relationships, customer services, and customer satisfaction. A customer should come first, and they should be protected from companies that are just trying to make a profit off of them. To build a stronger company name and to obtain the trust of a community, there are two important things that they can do if they have the profits on their financials. So basically, if they have enough extra money on their balance sheets, they should do one of these two things, or both if possible, to give back. They can take some of the extra profit and apply a portion of it to reduce the price of items. So basically, they're giving back to the consumers and rewarding them for choosing that company consistently, especially. But probably the most significant and important thing that a company can do with their high profits is to give it back to the community. Businesses have a social responsibility to people less fortunate than them, as well as improving the community that keeps them in business. If nothing else, if you don't remember anything else about profit, remember profit should not be the only driving motivation of a company, and two, that they should share their wealth with the community. I'll now move on to the next section of pricing. The sad reality is that many organizations do three things which cheat consumers and the community when it comes to pricing. One method is to pad the cost of an item and then find a way to get rid of the cost, which they already knew how to do all along. So they just pocket that extra savings that they padded it with, which just isn't fair. Another thing companies can do is something called underweighting. This is when the company predicts it'll underperform, which they really cannot predict the future, so it's unreasonable just from starting there. But they predict that they're going to underperform, so they jack up the prices before it can happen. And if they don't underperform, they just made a ton of money off of you. It is actually a legal version of cheating, essentially. And another extremely common, sadly, thing that companies do is put high prices on packages that is a reflection of what the economy can bear or tolerate, or what they can exploit out of a consumer. Which basically means they raise the price as high as possible, just below to the point of where people will stop buying it. Then they dramatically drop the prices, which boosts their sales up a ton, and it makes them look good. But in reality, they were cheating consumers by jacking up the prices just to boost sales later. Pricing is definitely something that needs to get under control to help communities and consumers, which in turn helps the companies in the long run. And now we will be passing it off to the next section.
Have you ever had to deal with the frustration of receiving a recall for a product that you recently just bought, or maybe you spent a lot of money on, or you might have even been negatively affected by this recall? In Chapter 1 of The Funny Side of Management, the author discusses many examples of how businesses try to cheat and cut corners to push ahead of the competition or to make a quick profit gain. And one of these examples covers the quality and the importance of having a high quality product. I'm Josh Damaris, and I'm part of Ethics Group 5 for our Business, Ethics, and Society class. So in this summary of quality, I'll discuss what quality actually is, how the author Thanu describes quality, and some real-world examples of what can happen when a company has a substandard type of product or a substandard quality product versus a high quality product. So what is quality? Quality is a standard of measurement, let's say, when you're comparing one product or service to a like product or service, so two similar objects. So an example of this would be if I'm going out and shopping for a new workout shirt and my options are Nike or Walmart, I'm more likely going to choose Nike because Nike is going to have their shirts produced with better materials, higher quality materials, and will most likely last longer in the long run and won't deteriorate as fast. So according to Thanu, there are cases of companies where they supply substandard products to cut corners and to try and save time and money and to make a quick buck. And while it seems like the saving the time and money and making, a quick gain, those may seem like benefits, but it'll only hurt the company in the long run because most likely low quality products are going to be returned more often by the consumer. They could possibly pose a health risk, and if they pose a health risk, then they could get recalled, and that'll put the company in a bad spotlight, and we don't want that happening. So Thanu later addresses that companies today, a majority of companies today, strive to provide high quality products because those who do increase their customer satisfaction and are more likely to sustain profits over a long-term situation, and it'll also help benefit the community they're in and benefit their customers. So now that we've discussed the definition of quality and Thanu's thoughts on the topic, let's look at two real-world examples of good and bad quality products and how it affected the supplier. So first we'll start with a low quality example. This one came to mind because I have two dogs and I've seen this plenty of times, and I see it all the time when I go to the vet and go to the pet stores. And this example of a low quality product is dog treat suppliers from China, and these suppliers have been cutting corners for the last couple of years, which is essentially destroying their businesses in the United States. So these treat suppliers cut corners in the production process, which resulted in many products containing ingredients that were harmful to pets. According to CBS News, more than 5,600 animals have had illnesses after consumption of these products, while more than 1,000 dogs have died after consuming these products since 2007. So as you can see, these low quality products have had mass recalls, and large pet stores such as Petco and PetSmart have discontinued selling these products in their store. So these Chinese suppliers are completely demolishing their business in the United States by cutting corners and not making these treats safely edible for the animals. So now that we've seen the effects that a low quality product can have, let's look at the effects a high quality product will have. And my example for this is Starbucks. According to a consumer case study, customers choose Starbucks brand over others because the company's high quality products and their customer involvement. So their high quality product has resulted in the chain being the 5th most desirable company in the world by Fortune magazine 2014. And it's also enabled them to open 21,000 stores across the entire globe. I'm sure you're seeing people drink Starbucks day in and day out when you're going to class. So to summarize, quality is a measurement of standard of like products, comparing one product to another. The higher quality product will be the better, more long-lasting, and more beneficial to you. And according to Thanu, there are companies who cut corners for short-term gain, and they're ultimately punished for it with recalls and negative spotlight and short-term profit versus long-term profit. And companies with high-quality products see the long-term profit, and they see increased customer satisfaction, which keeps those customers returning to their products, just as we have seen with the Chinese pet treats and the Starbucks example that I gave. So, thank you for listening.
Hey guys, my name is Tyler Smith, and I'll be presenting section 4 of our group presentation, specifically about packaging in terms of business ethics. I've broken this section down into 3 subtopics, which include visual stimulus versus value, substantial erosion of consumer costs, and to conclude, we'll discuss a little bit of how we can better balance and mix these line items. I'd like to start off by speaking to you today about visual stimulus versus value. This is broken down into businesses use visual stimulus to grab their target audience's attention. A great example of this would be putting a character like SpongeBob on candy, or other figures that are present in today's youth, to get kids to say, "Ooh, Mom, I want this." We also use this on adults by using big colors and even name brand images that we see on TV every day. The problem with this is the cost of it. Obviously, using copyrighted images such as SpongeBob costs the company money, which in turn costs the consumer money. So why not just make a black and white package and throw a label on it and call it good? Is there even a market for someone that just wants a product without all the fancy schemes and colors? This is where we get into generic products. Many generic brands are actually name brand products, just in a different packaging. Companies such as Walmart have figured out that they can buy a product such as cereal from a company, then have the company put it in a different bag instead of a fancy box with just simple black and white or black and blue or even clear and blue packaging, put their name on it, which is great value, and then they can turn around and sell it in their stores as a generic product, even though it's the exact same as what you would buy in the box with the fancy Tony the Tiger image and bright colors. And it appeals to a different audience. There's obviously several different markets and different audiences that they're trying to attract. One being the vanity buyer that wants the brand name because that's what they associate with by television and by their experiences of growing up. But you also have the people that are working off of a limited budget who don't really care for the fancy advertising and don't care that they didn't see it on TV. They just want a good product that's going to fulfill their needs at the cheapest cost. So by producing generic products, it's really a win-win for everybody. Both the production company is able to output more product, and distribution companies are able to sell more product, but your end consumer gets what they want versus a name brand or somebody more on a budget that just wants a good product no matter what it is, as long as it's cheap and it fulfills their needs. The second subtopic we're going to talk about is substantial erosion of consumer cost. This is the price erosion, which is basically a false realization in whatever market the product is being sold in. This happens when there are several products or services with the same end consumer, and competition drives the price down. It's a simple supply and demand that we see in today's market. So finding a good mixture and balance of this it is hard. How ethically should a business find a good mix of getting their product noticed and using advertising themes and spending money that may not really be ethical, without using false or expensive advertising? we feel as a group, if a company is true to its product and service, then the product or service will sell itself. And by not using fancy advertising, but instead spending that money on giving that product or service to the consumer, it will pay out over the end result. This can be seen in today's market with brands like Tom Shoes or Whole Foods, who sell a great product, but they spend their advertising money more on helping people, and not only just the intended market that they're going for, but consumers all over the world. These products typically cost more than its competitors, but it's still, they sell more due to the market strategy that they're using, that the consumers feel like they're helping a bigger cause. They don't mind spending a little extra money if it's, you know, going to help somebody in Africa, or if it's better for the environment. Anyways, that's basically the main ethical dilemma in packaging. We're going to move on to the next section now.
I think the importance of ethics has to do with the business's name. I think if you're going to make a motto and you have something to focus on, then you have to live up to that motto. Like if you're going to talk about, you know, the importance of honesty, well, your business has to be honest. And if your business isn't honest, you're not going to have customers, you're not going to have loyal customers. And if you're not going to have customers, you're not going to have a business. And I think that it also has a positive effect on the employees. The employees want to work for a boss who's making the right choices and who believes in them and still promotes honesty and makes ethical decisions. A business needs to grow, and in order for it to grow in the long run, ethical choices need to be made. And if they're not making those ethical choices, the business is going to fail. And just like Thanu said, businesses should educate customers by giving right information about their products, which leads me to the importance of social responsibility. Thanu said, business will serve society better if it adopts a small area around its location for improvement of quality of life with focus on the poor sections of people. I think what he means by that is that you have a social opportunity or social responsibility to always look for opportunities to reach a newer audience. If you stay focused on one audience, then you're never going to reach a new audience, and you're never going to be able to adapt to the real world. Everything's changing, so your business has to change. And so I think that's what that means by social responsibility as a business, that we have that responsibility, that we need to focus on a newer audience every quarter, every time that something else comes out that we're in the same product as. And you have to maintain a good customer relationship because the benefits will be beneficial to the business as well. I think every business has to have a good customer relationship, and that goes all the way back to ethics. You can't have, or if you don't have a customer relationship, period, then, you know, you're not promoting your business very well. Because, I mean, people are going to say, oh, I had a great experience at this place. I had really great customer service. They were nice. They, you know, dealt with my problems. They helped me out. And another thing is that we have a social responsibility to better serve our community and serve others as well. And I think when that happens, it kind of has like a domino effect, and it'll eventually reach back to us, and we'll be able to start that cycle again, and it just keeps going and going. And I think that's how, you know, that ethics and social responsibility are like probably the most important things in business.